Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today, we're bringing you another explainer where we take these really fascinating ideas and just, break them down into their absolute clearest, most accessible parts. We're actually doing a micro-analysis of a super famous piece of ancient wisdom today. Okay, let's dive into this, because what we're looking at right now, it might just completely shift how you view your daily routines and really the repeating cycles of your own life.
Moving right into Section 1, the famous misunderstanding.
For centuries, people have literally carried around this specific idea, really feeling the heavy weight of it, totally without realizing they might be interpreting the message entirely backwards. We've all heard the famous phrase, right? The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates said this. You've probably heard it in passing, maybe read it in a book, or seen it quoted 1,000 times online. But here is the absolutely crucial point from our source text. This famous line is almost universally misunderstood. We tend to read it and honestly immediately feel a sense of intense pressure. But the text points out that this is not what was intended at all, not even a little bit.
Which brings us to Section 2, Structure over Morality.
When we usually hear that quote, we assume it's this harsh, condemning judgment. It kind of sounds like if you aren't constantly engaged in deep, intense self-reflection, well, you're doing life wrong. You're failing some ultimate test. But our source text completely clears this up, and this brilliantly illustrates the core difference. Socrates actually wasn't making a moral judgment about people who don't examine their lives. He wasn't calling anyone a bad person or a failure. Actually, scratch that. It was a structural observation. He was making a highly practical, purely structural observation about exactly how human life functions mechanically.
So, what exactly is that structural observation? Well, it all comes down to patterns of suffering. The source text explains this core mechanic beautifully. Basically, the unexamined life actively produces specific patterns of suffering. It's really just simple cause and effect. It's not some sort of cosmic punishment. It's literally just the structural output of not looking closely at how you operate day to day. But the flip side, and honestly the true power of this observation, is that the act of examination is precisely what resolves those patterns. Examination stops the cycle cold.
So, let me ask you a question. Have you ever suspected that your life has been running on assumptions you haven't actually examined? Have you ever felt like you're operating on a kind of default setting, repeating the same hidden patterns over and over and getting the exact same frustrating results?
That leads perfectly into Section 3, the human blueprint.
If you answered yes to that question, if you have that sneaking suspicion that unexamined assumptions are basically steering your ship behind the scenes, then the text explicitly states something really important. You are the exact kind of person this is for. This isn't just high-level theory. It's a practical intervention for absolutely anyone caught in those repeating patterns. So, here is your next step. If you're ready to break out of those unexamined assumptions right now, comment the word clarity to get instant access to the workbook. We really want to move you from just recognizing these patterns to actively resolving them. Because ultimately, this is our human blueprint. It's the structural reality of how we're built, and way more importantly, how we can consciously rebuild ourselves. So, I want to leave you with this final, absolutely vital thought to carry with you today. What specific, hidden patterns of suffering might you completely resolve if you just decided to stop running your life on autopilot today?